Let's go now to Kitchener, Ontario, where the concluding race in the Off-Road Sprint Series was held last month. One thing is clear as we watch the drivers zip around their 1-mile oval track. Burlesque certainly doesn't have a monopoly on the bump and grind. From Kitchener, the Oktoberfest Off-Road Sprints. Here's Don Chevrier with Paul Shatter.
The Off-Road Sprint Championships are part of Oktoberfest of the Kitchener-Waterloo area. Oktoberfest means beer halls and papa bands and good German food and a whole lot of fun. Well, Paul Chater, the fun today is right here on this track in Bingaman Park. Off-road racing is certainly different, and perhaps you can tell us what to watch for today.
Well, we're going to see several different types of off-road racing, from great big 4x4 trucks to small Volkswagen Beetles that have been modified for racing, and also some open-wheel single-seater racers. It's very inexpensive, and it's also pretty exciting.
What would the top speed be for these vehicles here?
Well, I think over some of the bumps in the sand, maybe only 80 miles an hour, but it looks like a lot more.
Only 80 miles an hour. Okay, let's see what it's all about. It's a chilly day here in Kitchener, Ontario, as the drivers and their crews prepare for the Molson Off-Road Sprints, the finale to a long season of bouncing and flying through the dirt.
And bounce and fly they do, Don. This is the most rugged form of auto racing in existence. Unlike Grand Prix racing with fast and fragile cars, these off-road racers are built to withstand incredible punishment over courses that are designed to be as bone-crunching as possible.
Well, Paul, I guess you know all about bone crunching since you lost our coin toss earlier today, but still it seems to be a sport that is quickly gaining in popularity.
That's right, Don. It really started off in California. Now it just seems to be catching on here in Canada, despite the great differences in our climates. And there is a big difference today. It's cold, but we still have a group of die-hard fans here for this race.
What brings you out here all bundled up today to watch these races?
I guess it's the excitement of the race. It's the first time I've been out, and I just want to see what it's like.
You gonna be warm enough?
I hope so. It's pretty cold.
All right, here's the fellow over here. This your first time, or are you a veteran?
No, I've been, this is the first time.
Yeah? How come you came out?
It's for the noise.
The noise?
Yeah.
You like noise?
No.
No? You're gonna get noise today.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, have a good time.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
What do you enjoy most about it?
The speed. The speed and the roughness. That's about the best part of the whole thing.
You had a guy tell me he likes the noise. Is he all right?
Oh, a lot of people do. I personally not that fond of it, but a lot of people do, yes.
These are commonly called budget bugs. They start life as a Volkswagen Beetle. The insides are gutted. They pare away the fenders for better wheel clearance and make some suspension and engine modifications. What it means is that a racer can have this all ready to go for about $1,000.
Let's have a look now at the qualifying heat for these bargain basement racers.
Just after the start, Randy Hillier of Kitchener, Ontario, got into trouble in the first corner and rolled his Beetle over onto its back. The crew was quick on the scene, and they put it back on its wheels.
We talked about these cars being rugged, and you can see Hillier just kept right on going.
This race actually has two classes, Don, one for modified sedans and one for the Volkswagen Beetles, which you see here really using the term off-road racing to its fullest. They're using the track and a lot more.
Despite all this bumping and bashing, most of the cars made it to the finish and are now setting up for the final feature race.
We're back live now for the start of this feature sedan race.
The flag down, the pack scurrying into the first corner with a Mazda of Kirk Cavanaugh out in front, followed by Vince Derrick in a Carmen Ghia.
Don, you can see there really is no definitive way to go through a corner on this track. You just pick a hole where there are no other cars and put your right foot down. Very hard.
Coming into the last corner before the straight, there's a lot of fender bashing going on, but everybody gets through okay.
With one lap completed, the Mazda driven by Kirk Cavanaugh is just barely holding on to his lead as they cross the start-finish line on lap number 2.
Here are the leaders in the VW Beetle class having a very close race with each other.
And mixed in with all those Baja Bugs, as they call them, is a Datsun. But he, of course, is running in a different class. The Baja Bugs just racing against each other. And there's Randy Hillier on the inside of the turn. We saw him earlier today. He rolled his car over in the heat, got it started once again. Now he seems to be in real problems. Stuck up against the tires on the inside of the turn. The crews are going to try to get him out of there.
Now we have something really new, Paul. It's called three-wheeled racing. That's Panatsu still running after losing a wheel.
You can see the tire has popped straight off the rim. That's the tube that was hanging off the rear fender. He's going to try to keep going, but I don't see how he can. As we're back with our leaders now, that's Kurt Cavanaugh out in front in the Mazda, and the Carmen Ghia, Vince Derrick running in second place. And the whole group of Baja Bugs with the one Datsun mixed up in the middle there with them. Going through the first corner past the start-finish straight. Into the last corner, and Derrick's going to try a move. He's on the inside, and Cavanaugh is just sliding all over the place, trying to maintain his lead. He's hung on to it down the front straightaway, and Derrick's going to have to be content for the moment to sit in the second place. That Carmen Ghia, by the way, was once a rally car, which they've converted to off-road racing, and right now it seems to be doing the job, hanging right in behind the Mazda, up over the moguls, down the back part of the course. The Beetles are sticking right with each other, bashing fenders. They're giving the poor Datsun driver a hard time as they head down the back part of the course now. The leader of the Baja Bugs into the final corner before the start-finish straight, and the Datsun just barely hanging on.
Derrick finally does it. The Oakville driver moves ahead now.
A lot of sand kicking up on the outside of the course as he tries to maintain his lead. He passed Kurt Cavanaugh down the front straightaway. Young 20-year-old driver in only his second full year of racing is doing a superb job in the Carmen Ghia, hanging on to first place. Vince Derrick out in front with Kurt Cavanaugh desperately trying to hang on in second place. And leading the Class 3 is Doug Williamson, number 371.
Well, these guys are tough, but I'll tell you, they just don't give up. That's the second time today we've seen drivers trying to race on only three wheels.
Pretty tough losing one of the driving wheels. You can see his left rear is gone completely, and he's still going to try to get it across the line. That's Andy Horner of Toronto. He's been forced to park his bug on the outside of the circuit.
The leader, Derrick, gets blocked trying to go around some slower traffic. And that bug in front of him is driven by the association's president, Roger Vachon.
Well, that could cost Vince Derrick some ground as they head over the moguls down the back straight, and indeed it has. We've got a new leader, Doug Williamson, 26-year-old from West Hill, Ontario. He's been racing for 6 years. He's now leading this event. And some more three-wheeled racing. That Datsun is really suffering some problems. We can see the white flag being waved for the last lap. Doug Williamson in the lead. Vince Derrick now back into second place. Out into the deep sand, Derrick losing some ground down the back part of the course, and the Baja Bug just charging away. We can see there's Williamson now going through the last corner and bouncing and bobbing and weaving behind him is Vince Derrick trying to make up some ground, but he's not going to be able to do it. Williamson driving hard for the checkered flag. He'll add this victory to a long string of wins over the Molson Summer 80 season. He's the class champion.
Earlier today, Paul talked to Bill Lefebvre. He was the top off-road racer in the country last year. He talked about the open-wheel classic racing.
With me is Bill Lefebvre from Limehouse, Ontario. And Bill, maybe we can take a few minutes now and have a look at what an off-road racer really is. First of all, starting on the front suspension here, where do you begin? Does it come from a Volkswagen?
Yes, it's a stock VW front end.
And when you look at this car, some race cars are very aerodynamic. This one, a little bit flatter. You don't pay much attention to the bodywork.
No, I choose aluminum because it's easier to repair and fix rather than fiberglass.
And the net on the window back here, or the window, where there isn't a window, you have a net.
That's to prevent your arms from being broken or crushed in rollovers.
And there's a lever on the inside here, Bill, that looks like another gear shift. Exactly what do you have that for?
That's a steering brake. It works the same as a tractor. I can slow one wheel down or the other wheel at will, just by pushing the lever backwards and forwards.
So you can get the car sliding into the corners a little more.
And turn sharper.
Now, in the business department back here, this doesn't look like your average Volkswagen engine.
No, it isn't. Again, it's just basically a VW housing, and I've increased the displacement to 1.8 liters, added a larger carburetor and valving, and the crankshaft is different also.
And something we don't often see on cars are 2 shock absorbers on each rear corner.
2 will work better than 1. When they heat up, the car will handle the same as 1 cool shock.
And to put all this power and handling to the road, some special tires?
Yes, these here are used in sandy and muddy conditions because of the open tread design.
Okay, let's see what these cars can do.
Right off the start, and Robert Whittick grabs the lead as they head into the first corner. You can one car straight through the mud hole, most of the cars choosing to go on either side of it. Into the first corner, and Whittick leads with Moritz in second place.
They are all over the track, Paul, trying to pass with Whittick still in front and Moritz challenging.
You can see here, Don, how some drivers choose the inside line through the corners while others prefer gaining speed on the outside through a turn as they charge down the straightaway over the moguls. Lots of bouncing and bobbing going on into the last corner.
Now Whittick has lost the lead to Moritz, and he looks like he's going to lose second now.
Almost, but not quite. Joel Croft pushing hard at number 200.
This is 19-year-old Robert Moritz really off the road. The son of the leader, not able to keep pace with his father.
And his father is really starting to charge now. Going into the first corner, Moritz is out in front. He looks comfortable backing off a little bit over that last mogul. And Whittick is staying right with him through the deep sand. We've still got a tight group of cars running up in the front. Moritz out in front and Whittick in second place. And 4 or 5 guys running through the hole on the inside of the curve instead of staying up to the outside.
Croft is now third at this stage. Now here's something you don't see very often, a stuck race car.
He put a wheel off on the inside of the corner, and he can't get any traction to that right rear wheel. He's going to sit there for a while.
19-year-old Moritz in more difficulty.
He went off the road earlier, and now he's just left spinning his wheels, sitting here with not much to do as his father continues to lead this race. Croft is now up to second, and Rob Whittick has slid all the way back to fourth.
Younger Moritz still trying to get back in the race, but it appears hopeless for him now.
The top 2 front runners beginning to pull away from the rest of the field. The elder Moritz out in front, and Joel Croft on the inside trying to make a move down the front straightaway in number 200. Croft is after the class championship here today. He's had a good season in the Molson Summer 80 Racing Championship.
Now here is Wayne Goddard. He's going to get out of his car to try to fix it, but that could be it for him.
The leaders at the moment out on the track while Goddard tries to fix that engine problem. The leaders are remaining the same with Moritz out in front and Croft staying right with them, and those two pulling away from the rest of the field substantially.
It is pretty much their own contest right now as they leap and bump along this course here at Oktoberfest celebrations in Kitchener, Ontario.
Joel Croft is staying right with Moritz down the back straightaway. As we see Whittick going through the corner, he's down into 4th place now. The car's through the bottom turn, and we've got a new leader. Joel Croft has passed Moritz. Moritz back to 2nd place, and Croft after his class championship today.
Croft maintaining that lead.
Choosing to go through the heavy sand on the outside of the corner. We can see how much strain is put on his arms when he goes over those big bumps. He's starting to pull away from Moritz there in 272, who is running in 2nd place.
Now let's have a look at Joel Croft from the point of view of the driver, how it looks to him as he bounces and bobs and weaves over this pounding course.
He's sitting in 2nd place over the jump, and Croft is really starting to pull away from the rest of the field in this event. He only did a 3rd place finish in his heat earlier today. This is a surprise for him, but he is on his way to a class championship if he can stay in front.
Spectators bundle up against the cold here in Kitchener, Ontario. These drivers are warm enough now as they're flying around the course, giving it all they've got.
There's the leader, Joel Croft, over the jump, and Bob Moritz over it as well. Let's have another look at what these cars go through when they're going over the jump. There's Moritz cresting the top with a lot of suspension compression, and the jolt isn't as bad as it looks for the driver.
Well, you were in there, you should know, but it does look bad enough if you're a spectator.
There goes our leader, Joel Croft, on his last lap. He's got a big lead. That's a lapped car that is farther back in the field. And here's second place now, Robert Morith, number 272, a long way back in second. And it looks like Croft may have himself a class championship.
Well, he's getting boxed in a little bit there and plenty of traffic. Morith and Whittick now made up some ground.
Charging towards the checkered flag, and it looks like a good win for Joel Croft. He's coming towards the jump, and he takes the flag.
Well, everybody loves a come-from-behind winner, as Croft was in this event today. He's getting out of his car now, and Paul is there to talk with him.
Joel, once you got the lead, it looked easy from there on.
No, not really. The car had to stay together to the very end. It was worth it.
And now you're the class champion. You must be pretty happy.
We did a lot of work. Finally paid off to the very end.
How many races over the course of the season would you have to run to win the championship?
Oh, I think we won about 6, and we placed second a couple times and third twice.
The prize money just about pay for the expense of racing for a season?
Never, never.
And why do you do it?
Just for the sport. Just for the sport.
We'll return to Kitchener's Oktoberfest and off-road sprint racing in just a moment. Kitchener, Ontario. We're getting ready for the 4x4 feature race. But first, let's return to the qualifying heats earlier today.
These big four-wheel drive trucks are racing in Canada for the first time in 1980. And the easy winner of this event, it looked to be Dwight Cook, who's driving a Ford Bronco, but he crossed the finish line with all kinds of steam belching out from under the hood. He must have blown a rat hose or something, but he managed to make it to the finish anyhow. The work crews were quick on the scene to help the drivers out. You'll notice that many of these four-wheel drive trucks have got an extra passenger along. He's just there for the ride, for the enjoyment of it all.
Everybody's okay, except that may cost them a spot in the final, not to mention possibly an engine. Well, Paul, before the race begins, is on the grid now, talking with one of the drivers.
This is Michael Gedler. He's sitting in a four-wheel drive Jeep about ready to go out on the track. Michael, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you've modified this to race it.
It was a rollover, and I just finished rebuilding it. The suspension has to be tighter, it has to be heavier. I'm running straight stock engine, but I'm going to go and give it a try. I haven't done very much to my truck, but I'm here for the fun of it.
Why do you race a 4x4 as opposed to, let's say, an open wheeler, which we're going to see today?
I think these are more interesting. You can do more with them. See, last time I was out here, they shut us down because it was raining. We normally run through mud, and these guys don't. They can't. I like the mud. That's why I'm doing it.
Now over to Don, who's down in the crowd with some of the fans.
You must like this sport to be as cold as you look and come out here and watch it today.
Yeah, I love watching the racing. I love watching the 4x4s. We race all summer long in the drags and obstacle. I don't race obstacle though.
Well, it may be cold, but these fans are waiting anxiously to see how these big 3,500-pound beasts handle the course, which has become quite chewed up over the races already run today.
All right, we have got a start, and those ungainly-looking trucks jostle for position with Thumper, the favorites, in the lead.
Pounding into the first corner on the inside, the Datsun four-wheel drive truck out in front, the Chevy pickup in second place. That's Bob Miller, who's doing a lot of bouncing over the moguls in the sand. As they head down the back straightaway, Miller chooses the inside line through the big hole, as do the Jeeps who are right behind him. That hole is a problem for these big trucks, not so much for the small open-wheeled racers, however. Heading down the back straightaway, through the last corner, the Jeep's getting through without any problem, and we've got a brand new leader.
That's Bob Miller of Aurora in that Chevy pickup.
A Datsun 4x4 pickup hanging on to second place, straight through the mud hole, and a big bounce for him over the rise. And Bob Miller is in the deep sand through the first corner, up a short hill, and then he'll hit those really bad moguls down the back straightaway. And it takes a lot of muscle to handle one of these trucks. As you can see the kind of beating those drivers are taking in there.
They are being thrashed around on this course, and lumbering is the word. There's not a great deal of speed there. They're airborne at several times, as you can see.
Some of the drivers choosing an outside line through that deep sand. It seems to be one of the best ways through, but nobody can stay with this Chevy pickup of Bob Miller.
Miller from Aurora in the lead right now and coasting along very comfortably at this stage. Uh-oh, there's a spill, a Jeep off the course, heading for those cement casings, and he really clobbered that, but it appears to be all right.
He rolled right over, Don, and let's have a look at that now in slow motion, heading towards it, upside down, a big thump into the inside of the corner, and back on its wheels, but he seems to be all right now.
Just shake it up a little bit, but apparently okay. None the worse for wear and the contact.
We're back with the leader, Bob Miller, in his Chevy pickup truck, watching the Datsun Thumper just bouncing like crazy going into that corner. He always chooses to run through the mud hole. And running in third spot is Milan Mazanik, number 111. He seems to be gaining some ground. He's closing quickly on the Datsun. Down the back straightaway, over the moguls. The Datsun on the inside line misses the worst part of that hole, but Mazanik goes right through it and puts his foot down. Bob Miller heading down the front straightaway now. He's got his boot right in it. You can see all the sand that he's kicking up behind.
This place is paradise for a shock absorber salesman.
It's true, Don, and for all the flying they're doing, you may be interested to know that they're using part aviation fuel mixed in with the gasoline. And we've got a vehicle off on the outside, stalled as Miller comes through the first corner. He had to take that a lot slower that time because of the stalled truck on the outside, but he's got the power back on now over the big bumps.
Well, he still has the lead, but he's got to show respect for Mazanik and LaRocque in pursuit of him right now. Not exactly got this all wrapped up just yet.
And Mazanik making a move to grab second place. The blue truck number 111 on the inside. Coming through the corner, he's going to choose through the big hole, and he's got it. Thumper, the Datsun, in trouble out in the deep sand, and Mazanik is now up in the second place with truck number 111.
Look at the punishment these vehicles take, and not to mention the men inside them.
A big flying maneuver there for Bob Miller, the leader in the Chevy pickup truck. Doesn't seem to be bothering him whatsoever. He's bouncing that truck all over the track. As the yellow flag is out to indicate to the drivers that that disabled vehicle from the rollover earlier is sitting still on the edge of the track. Mazanik comes through, heads through the last corner, and Thumper's out of the race.
Yep, that could be it. That's all for Thumper, steadily losing ground to the leaders as it was, but out of it now.
They've just parked the car on the edge of the track now, taking their helmets off, and that's going to be it for the day for them. So Gary Hammond has finished his racing for 1980 as Bob Miller heads into the last corner for the last time. He's going down the front straightaway for an easy victory.
Yes, Miller is going to win it. All with the next Class 1 coming up, talks to top American racer Steve Norris now. Here's the interview.
Steve Norris, you've traveled quite a distance to come up here this weekend, I understand.
Yeah, we try to make most of them up here. It's a lot of fun running up here, a lot better than it is in the States.
Where are you from?
Detroit, about 20 miles outside of Detroit.
Dave, why do you prefer to race in Canada?
I think it's the attitude of everybody up here. It's a lot friendlier atmosphere. Everybody's not out for blood. Everybody's racing to race. You know, they're not out for it because they got an $8,000 car. And it's just all, well, you'd have to race in the States to see what I mean. It's a completely different ballgame over here. Because here, they cater to the racers, and over there, they expect the racers to cater to the promoters. And it doesn't work that way. The racers are the ones that are putting on the show.
Do you spend a lot more on your racing than you'd say the average guy here?
Most of the United States cars have got quite a few more bucks in them than the Canadian cars. Mostly because I think the money's a little bit more available over there, you know. And the parts are easier to come by because they're all made on the west coast of the States.
They're lining up for this Class 1 race now. Norris, one of the favorites, also Bill Lefebvre, another right up front. Norris and yellow car 151, and they're off.
And around the jump on the first lap instead of over it, and we've got a surprise leader now into the first corner. That's 9-year veteran Glenn Dinsmore. Number 153 with Bill Lefebvre in second place, and Steve Norris in third spot. He won the heat earlier today. He's right behind Lefebvre as they head through the big hole here. Most of the cars getting through without any trouble, but they're taking a tremendous beating now that the track is even more chewed up than it was before. There's Norris, 151 in third place, and Lefebvre has grabbed the lead. Bill Lefebvre down the inside, down the front straightaway, is now out in front. Glenn Dinsmore is back into second.
And those holes getting bigger and bigger as the competition progresses here today. You mentioned Bill Lefebvre. Let's get right inside his car and watch as he struggles to make up another place. It's amazing how he can even hang on to the steering wheel through all this bouncing.
Down this straightaway, he's hitting speeds close to 80 miles per hour, and that's got to be exciting over all those bumps. And we've got a new leader now. That's Steve Norris on the inside over the big jump. Dinsmore wide on the outside, and Bill Lefebvre down in third spot, but on the inside of the corner.
Well, they call them tail draggers. Good reason, I suspect.
Well, here's a driver who's not dragging his tail at all. He flipped it up and over. That's Fred Smith, number 915. And he kept the engine running, and he's going to keep right on going. Let's have a look at that in slow motion. As he got into the corner, got out of shape, the car started to go upside down, and over he went. But the roll cage in the car protected him, as did the harness that they wear. It's a full harness, and the net on the window, which Bill Lefebvre mentioned earlier, kept his arms from flying out and getting crushed by the roll cage.
All right, back with the leaders now. Norris first, Dinsmore second, and Lefebvre still looking for a place to pass.
Coming down into the first corner over the big bumps, there's Norris, number 151, in first place. He's got a bigger lead than we've seen anybody have at all during this event so far. There's Bill Lefebvre back in third spot. Dinsmore is still running in second place, but Lefebvre is looking for some room to get by him.
A number of Class 9 cars in this event. And number 951 there you see, James Gibb. And he is going to give up the lead to Jeff Kenward now.
Jeff Kenward leading Class 9, and there's our overall leader in Class 1, number 151. Steve Norris, he balked a little bit going through the corner. Looks like he missed a gear. And from the inside of Bill Lefebvre's car, you can see the kind of punishment they're taking. With all the mud being splattered back in his face, it's a wonder he can drive this thing at all. Steve Norris continues to lead. Bill Lefebvre down the inside in third spot, and Dinsmore still running second.
Well, equipment plays such a big role in this game. It's critical, as a matter of fact. Before the event, Bill Lefebvre changed tires and shock absorbers on his vehicle. Paul talked to Bill about that before the race began earlier today.
Bill, after your first heat, you've decided to change the tires on this. Why?
The tires that I'm using in the second in the feature will be of a deeper tread pattern for the sand. I didn't have enough traction with the tires I had on previously.
And what happens when you get out into the sand with the wrong kind of tires?
I get wheel spin and I slow down.
Would it make it more difficult to handle?
Yes, it's a little skitterish, but it should be. I should solve the problem with these tires here. They're bigger lugs for greater traction.
So watching your crew members here, and they're taking off a shock absorber. That's not something you usually see.
Well, today it's relatively cool, and usually the shocks will heat up, and I run multiple shocks for heat dissipation and for effectiveness. So it'll work as good as two single new ones. So I'm taking off two right now because it's very cold today, and the car is sprung too stiffly, and I'm bouncing too much. So I want to run a pair of singles, which will soften the ride.
Back with the action now. Lefebvre is still third. Dinsmore second. Norris still leads it.
Norris already through the first turn with Dinsmore right behind him, and we can see Bill Lefebvre now with those new tires able to run out in the sand a little more, and he could be making up some ground. He's pushing very hard over the moguls on the back straightaway. And the leader, 151, Norris, getting balked behind some of the Class 9 cars.
A rush hour traffic jam out there, Paul.
Some of that has slowed down Norris sufficiently to allow Bill Lefebvre and Dinsmore to gain some ground. There's Lefebvre side by side with Dinsmore over the jump, and he's got second place. Norris continues to lead. There's Lefebvre in second, and Dinsmore now back to third.
And Lefebvre pressing Norris for the lead.
Norris now has his hands full as he gets through the last corner, heading out onto the straight, and a big slide there for Bill Lefebvre. He's going to charge down the inside of the straightaway, and he's gaining on Norris.
He is making his move now on the final lap.
Coming down over the jump, and he's right on the tail of Norris, trying to move to the inside through the first corner, but he backs off a little bit, content for the moment to sit back there. Norris out into the deep sand, and Lefebvre's got him. Bill Lefebvre is out in front.
He's made his move right there. The question is now, can he hang on to it? Not much time and distance left.
There goes Norris, a last-ditch attempt down the inside, but he didn't have enough room to get by, and Lefebvre has got the power down.
So Lefebvre with a big move in the final lap. The Canadian is going to take the checkered flag ahead of Norris, the American. An example of the good close racing we've had all day here in the off-road sprints in Kitchener, capped by that great drive by Lefebvre. Other drivers now having presentations made to them for their efforts today. But we're going to go down now and have Paul get into conversation with a very happy winner of this race, Mr. Bill Lefebvre.
Bill, you had to claw and scratch your way up into the front in that race.
That was a hard race, and that's the way it's been all summer. A lot of good competition.
Where did you make up the difference?
I think I was making it up through the sand and going into the corner, running into the sand.
So the change of tires made a big difference.
Sure did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Bill Lafayette wins his second Class 1 championship in a row. This 37-year-old veteran and 9-year experienced driver comes through.
It's been a super day for Ontario drivers, Don, with the exception of one heat race. They grabbed top honors in every event today.
So that's it from Kitchener and the Molson Oktoberfest Off-Road Sprints. For Paul Chater, I'm Don Chevrier. So long for now.